colleagues, friends. It's my distinct pleasure once again to give you a very warm welcome to this African Sovereign Wealth and Pension Fund Leaders Forum, COVID-19 Roundtable. As you know, my name is Hubert and I'm the CEO and Chairman of Africa Investor and the African Sovereign Wealth and Pension Fund Leaders Forum. And I will be co-chairing today's roundtable. As always, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your efforts to protect and preserve the assets and well-being of your members, employees, staff, stakeholders, and in addition to that, having the capacity to make the time to participate in this roundtable consultative process. I think we're all on a daily basis increasingly being made aware of the interconnectedness of our markets and our humanity in our global war on the COVID-19 virus. At its most simplest articulation, unless it's defeated everywhere, it's probably defeated nowhere. So our work continues as the asset owner community. Our roundtables exist as a pan-African and global asset owner industry consultative platform to flesh out and clarify the role of African institutional investors and the role that we can play in support of many government development finance related initiatives that are being pursued and designed to fight COVID-19. We do this against the backdrop of a twofold focus. The first focus is really on immediate priority responses to protect African capital markets, SMEs, supply chains, and the African continental free trade area. And secondly, really design, forge, and pursue partnerships with policymakers to foster industry shifts and the next normal regulatory environment that will be required for African economies and industry to not only grow, but ultimately to thrive. As I indicated, one of our stated objectives is to find ways to support the African continental free trade area. This roundtable will be on innovative institutional investor partnerships of the African continental free trade area that have a focus on opportunities for African pension funds and sovereign funds to support commercially viable trade, private credit, ESG compliant and climate friendly industrial infrastructure investment transactions to support the implementation of the African continental free trade area on one hand, and support Africa's global trade competitiveness in a COVID-19 economy, a post-COVID-19 economy on the other. The format for this forum will remain unchanged. Each speaker will respond to a question that I will pose. After every speaker has spoken, we will engage in a forward-looking, solutions-oriented dialogue to generate some more collaboration opportunities forward in partnership with the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretary. As ever, I'm delighted to have an elite, distinguished not only group of members, but are all leaders as well. We have Lord Jim O'Neill, who is the former chairman of Goldman Sachs Asset Management and a former commercial secretary to the Treasury of the British government, and a board member of Manchester United Football Club, and many other things. We have Wamkele Mene, who is the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. We have Denton represented, who is the Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce. I think I recall, we are looking at this as a war. We're fighting a war here. So I've brought in a few generals. So Secretary General of the ICC, Vinco David, the Secretary General of the Berne Union conglomeration of International Union of Credit and Investment Insurers. And we also have Eric van der Peer, the Senior Portfolio Manager for Private Debt at NN Investment Partners. We also have Alistair McLeod, who is the Senior Vice President for Credit Specialities at Marsh JL in Europe. We have Deepak David, who is the Chief Risk Officer at the African Trade Insurance Agency. We have our dear brother Ayman Solomon, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Sovereign Fund of Egypt. We have Uche Orji, our co-chair for today, and this series, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. We have Mr. Solomon Asamoah, the former Vice President for Infrastructure of Private Sector and Capital Markets at the African Development Bank, now CEO of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, GIFT. We have Nicholas Fursley, who is the Director General of the World Pensions Council, WPC, and we have Jay Yoon, who is the Chief Investment Officer of New York Life Investment Management, and we have Lawrence Yalovich, who is the coordinator of the One Planet Sovereign Fund Initiative. And as I mentioned earlier on, we're grateful for our partnership with you. We presented, for example, on the digital side, Africa PLC is the platform that we are going to be proceeding with the MOU with you and the Secretariat on, which has the support of a number of the funds on this forum today. And if that can become a digital e-trade and industrial platform for our companies to trade within and outside of the continent, I think that's going to be a great first step. But aligned to that, our ability to be able to work with you on the phase 3 negotiation by way of the policy papers that we're putting together now, we really appreciate the fact that you've welcomed us to share our ideas about what an e-trade, an e-commerce regulatory environment should look like and how it's best constituted. To your point about us meeting in person, the forum stands ready to support you. Even during this lockdown period, you see we are able to convene and we are in regular contact. We have an infrastructure co-investment platform that is continually receiving trade-related transactions as well as infrastructure-related transactions. And also, in conclusion, on the policy side, we note that the phase 2 negotiation for our heads of state in the context of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which deals with the investment protocols and the investment regulation that will underpin that. We are also at your service in terms of being able to provide some of our insights that would hopefully give you the opportunity to better understand how we invest and what our capacity is, so that the policies can be conducive to optimizing us to be able to allocate to that. So ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, as I mentioned, I appreciate your participation and your strong support for our work. We thank you. We know that we've gone a little bit over time, but I think with that said, I'm going to bring the meeting to a formal close. And I look forward to being in touch as we seek to schedule our next meeting. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.